I know I said I wasn't going to talk a whole lot about line choice, but I am going to reference it. It's really important that we do not jump this table anywhere to rider's left. To be quite honest, I wouldn't mess around with this jump anywhere to rider's left of where I'm standing right here. So therefore, we got to really think about how can we take this turn to be able to hit this jump here or to rider's right of where I'm at. What that requires is some proper setup in the left-hand turn. If you ride the rut and follow the rut the whole way, and the main line that developed this morning, that will put you here. This isn't going to do the trick. This is creating way too tight of a corner to try to get back to rider's right. All the people that enter here end up drifting left, and they end up in all of that mess. My guess is that people probably crash off this a lot.
Loads of people wash out there, AJ. They wash in that corner.
Yeah. Oh, in the corner.
Just
here. Well, does anybody wash in the corner after it? Right. Okay, so this plays into it, right? So if we don't set up this corner and we drift wide on the exit, what does it do for the next section? It then creates a tight corner before that tabletop, which then is probably going to put you to rider's right and then close you off for the next corner. It's like a domino effect. You pick one bad line here and it sets you up 6 corners later for the wrong line. Motocross is a compromise. You always have to give up a little bit of time here to gain it here, and think into the future a little bit in the sense that, well, I need to set myself up. So I had everybody in group 2 entering here, or even further, some of them were over exaggerating even more, here, and using the first part of this berm. This is the key. We need to be on this here, and you can see my little rut where I've got a pivot point. I'm making all of my pivot off of this midpoint in the rut. The goal is when we get here, we're not turning anymore. I know it seems obvious, but if you were doing this wrong, you're going to be the person that's still carving this takeoff as you go up it. Make your pivot all at once, get that bike straight. When we start to ride in that way, it'll give you a ton of confidence because you could do that time and time and time again. I don't care how high level you are, if you're carving up a jump face coming out of a corner with acceleration bumps and hard packed dry dirt and rocks, you're never going to be consistent in that. Get the bike straight, get the meat of the tires down on the ground. And once you do that, well, now you've opened up a beautiful straightaway for yourself in that next section too. So we don't have to worry about tiptoeing our way around that kind of sweeper before the tabletop. As far as body position goes, hopefully Alessandro mentioned this, but if you didn't, start by standing and then begin sitting at the end of the corner and work your way back. So sitting in under acceleration, so that would be kind of my starting point, right? And then I sit for the exit of this corner. If I start to get comfortable with that, maybe I can start to sit at the 70% mark. Maybe I can start to sit at the 60 or 50% mark a little bit earlier and earlier. What you want to avoid doing is just seeing a corner and thinking that the default is, oh, well, here comes the corner, let's sit before we get to it, and sit all the way through it. You'll never learn where you should actually sit for the corner if your default is sit at the beginning, always. Stand all the way through and then reverse engineer it, and you'll learn exactly where the sitting makes the most sense.
Why would you sit? Like, what's the benefit of sitting rather than just staying still?
Good question. So he asked, why would I even sit in this corner? Some of the group 2 guys asked the same thing. They're like, honestly, it just adds in an extra step for me. Can I just stand all the way through? Absolutely. The reason I would sit is because I'm ramping up acceleration as I'm coming out of this corner, and it's pretty slippery. I like to just have that insurance a little bit that I have more weight down into the tires. So I can sit into the bike, keep the weight a bit more into the tires, and also it's a bit of an energy saver for me too. So from that 50% mark out, if I have the option to be able to sit while I'm accelerating, I'm going to choose that option, right? But as far as being able to easily turn the bike, standing all day long, I could come in here and turn it with my knees. If I sit, turn it with my hips. I can steer that bike with my hips. A couple pieces of individual feedback. I think for the most part, that group did a good job, especially that was a lot of the little bikes, did a good job of timing those downshifts early. The way it should be timed just about always is downshift first and then brake. And it's quick, right? But it's downshift brakes, downshift brakes. I'm pretty sure that every single person in that group was doing that. There was maybe one bike, I want to say maybe it was 47, the KTM, you were borderline leaving it in a gear too tall and just milking the clutch. Was that third? Or was it fourth? That was third. So it's like it almost was enough, but it was lugging just a little bit. What gear were you in this turn? Second, okay. Who else was going down a second for this turn? Who else thinks they were going down a second in this turn? I guess most of the big bikes would probably go to second. So the downshifts realistically should happen see the 3 white stakes? 3 white stakes, the downshift should happen somewhere within the range of those 3 stakes. And I think that pretty much all of you guys were doing that. Let's see, 80, good job sinking those heels in, good job just going slow. Remember, today is about trying to think about these corrections in our form. It is not about trying to create this random speed out of nowhere. That footwork looked good. You also do a very good job of getting the bike turned all at once and then going straight. There were still some of you that were doing a weird carve up the takeoff. Another thing to remember is we either have to stand off the takeoff or stay in the seat. What we want to avoid is sitting and then last second, right before we get to the top, standing. So I think KTM Pink Gear, I'm pretty sure I saw you do that a few times. I want to say I maybe saw KTM VIP 44. Sit and then stand with a little bit to go on the takeoff. The danger of that is you take the weight out of the tires where we need it the most. So you're at risk of spinning and getting weird little kicks, either sideways or into an endo, right? So if you want to seat bounce, but you got to stay in that seat the whole way. And there was a couple of guys in that group that were doing a good job of just staying in that seat. When you seat bounce, you sit directly above the foot pegs. You can start to get a little further back, like number 80 was getting slightly further back. But the further back you get, the more of an advanced technique that is, and you have to make sure that you're matching the RPMs perfectly with the takeoff. If you lug and you're a little bit too far back, you're gonna end up just blowing right through that thing. Well, 221, great job of going slow as well and just trying to think about the posture. Your hips were better, your posture was better, your elbows were still down quite a bit. So for you, I want you to focus on one finger over each control, as turned as you can with those hands. You should be putting 100% of the pressure into the outside edge of your palm, the very outside edge of your palm when you put your hands on the handlebars. So it should almost be like this, right, when we're riding. And that's gonna open those hands up. When we open the hands up, that pops the elbows up and keeps them open. And the reason the elbows up is important is because it keeps your head completely in line. When 221, when I watch you ride, what I see is this a lot. It's like you're trying to dodge a punch with your head, right? So that will lead to inconsistency because the more head movement you have, bigger issues you're going to have.